Oh, what's going on, Knuckleheads? GKM Gaming here with another LEGO Legacies Unboxed video for you, and today is Friday. That means it's Free to Play Friday. Yes, the series is back now that we've got the space update and some reworks coming to town, and I am bringing you a very special guest, my friend, fellow content creator in the official content creator program, The Fancy Life. Say hello, bro.
What's up, everybody? How are we doing?
So anybody who watches his streams knows he's a big-time city guy, just like I am aspiring to be. So of course we're covering Paramedic Poppy and her rework this week, especially now that it's kind of been out. We've had a little while to sink it in. Now we can really start to get into talking about the unit. So I'm just gonna ask you, bro, what are you thinking about the Poppy rework here?
I think that overall, Poppy has gotten more powerful, but at the same time, I think she's still going to, unfortunately, disappoint. I feel like they have made some changes to her in anticipation of further changes to come down the line. So I feel like people are going to get really excited by this rework to Poppy. Everyone thinks that she's this terrible character, and reworks usually mean that the character has become much more powerful and we should really start using them. But in her case, I feel like people are honestly going to be disappointed, man. And I'm disappointed to say that.
Well, I mean, she's definitely better, but I'm with you. Like, I look at it and I'm like, okay, like I was looking at this to kind of replace Aurora on my city team, like, you know, fill in Aurora's role and do what Aurora did, and maybe have a revive, which she doesn't get, and you know, maybe have a 50% heal, which she doesn't have. So, just, you know, she's a good supplement to Aurora. Like, play her with Aurora. I just don't see it. Like, she's not a standalone healer. You need both of them now.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I was thinking about her title, her design. She's the paramedic, right? So we need our paramedics in real life. Our paramedics play defense. After something bad has happened, they come in and they clean up. And paramedics are some of the real heroes of our society in real life. So they call this character Paramedic Poppy. And you think she can stop the bleeding, you think she can put up the heals, you think she can make people healthier, and she can do that to an extent, but you're right.
Not very well.
Yeah, you're right. And
it's
the
better.
complete
It's
removal of any chance that she can revive anybody means that if you want that revive, you still have to use Explorer Aurora. You don't have it. You don't have an option.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about like a fire station team, which I get a lot of hate for talking about building it, but like I do think in theory it could be really well, do really well, but you need a reviver to really make it powerful. So you kind of need to be running Poppy and Aurora now together if you want maximum healing. And when I look at Poppy, I'm like, am I better off just running like another tank or another attacker? I don't know. I mean, let's look at her basic over here. It's a 95% damage, which, you know, it is what it is. She's not hitting very hard. 50% to gain a stack of courage, and it's 70% to gain a stack of courage if, you know, she's on an all-city team. I was never going to be running her on an all-city team. I always planned on running Winston on that fire station team. So I feel like her lack of, it should have been 100%. Like, why does Clockwork Robot get 100% of the windup for every hit, and Poppy's only getting 50% for her basic? Especially that, like, her other abilities are so reliant on these courage stacks. The fact that we're only getting it 50% of the time for her, it actually seems low.
I completely 100% agree with you. And here's the thing, right? If you are running her with at least 2 other city heroes, then at least you have a 60% chance. It's better than a coin flip, but at the same time, you're absolutely right. A single stack of courage is not going to make the difference, especially when we go through the rest of her abilities and you see the way that that courage is applied. And in addition to that, she has no other way of getting courage unless you're running the fire station. And then there's the chance to get a courage token if you happen to resist a debuff, if the opponent happened to try to apply that debuff in the first place. So I don't see where the stacks of courage are really going to be stacking up on her.
Yeah, I mean, she does, like, if you look at her second ability, she does kind of offer some grit. So she'll give a target hero 3 stacks of heal over time and grit up 2 for 2 turns, which is, it's solid, and that'll help other people start resisting those debuffs and getting stacks of courage, or herself getting them. Also, if that hero has less than 35% health, which probably will happen often with either Sal or Primo or even Winston doing a lot of tanking, she does have the ability to give them hardy, which is not something I want to overlook.
Right.
And if they're a role model like Winston or Primo, it refreshes their ability cooldowns by 1, especially when we're talking about Winston with everyone hating on him for that 4 cooldown taunt. This could kind of work in tandem with him really well.
That's true, and I think that this particular ability is the one among all of the others that might set her apart, specifically because of that refresh of ability cooldowns. I think that if you keep a close eye on the ability cooldowns of your team as you're playing, that these new abilities that they're increasing, and the space team also has some heroes coming out that have abilities that will refresh ability cooldowns as well.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to become a pretty solid aspect of whatever the new meta emerges to be. The 3 stacks of heal over time is fine, I guess, but heal over time just in general is too weak, considering that you have to wait until that character's turn in order to receive the benefit of it.
It's a nice little like sprinkle on top. If this would have done 5 or 10% healing to the target, this would have been a way, way better ability. Just to have her heal a little bit, just a little tiny heal for someone, that would have went a real long way. It keeps them alive.
You're absolutely right. Another option would just be to have her put an astronomical amount of healing over time. Like, instead of the hero gains 3 stacks of heal over time, it's like they gain 6 or 10 stacks of heal over time. So that puts the onus on the opposing team to do something about it before it gets to be that person's turn. Or, as it is now, you can just kind of ignore it.
Yeah, I do like the hardy though, so I guess if you're strategic with it and you use it on like Sal or a Winston or a Primo, one of your taunters, it can work. The thing about Poppy is I'm really, like I said in the beginning, I'm having a hard time, like, who do I put on that team now if I need to include Poppy? Because she does do a lot of cool things. Her AoE heal, her painkillers, it's pretty cool too. It only heals 20% AoE, but it's a 5% bonus heal for each stack of courage. So it's potentially a 45% AoE heal, which is solid. That's more than a hiker heal. Well, not really, because hiker is 50% for city heroes, but still. It clears all the stacks of courage from her, which is kind of a bummer. And if 5 stacks of courage are cleared, it clears 2 random debuffs. I feel like, though, if I have to have 5 stacks to clear 2 debuffs, why couldn't it just be an AoE cleanse with the 5 stacks of courage when Redbeard does that for nothing?
Exactly. I completely agree with you there. And I think if they wanted to make it truly interesting, they could have done something like she clears all of the stacks of courage from herself and removes 1 debuff from all heroes per stack of courage cleared, unless she has 5 stacks of courage, and then she clears all of the debuffs. It would still be weaker than Redbeard's cleanse, but at least then it would give you the feeling of knowing that each additional stack of courage buffs up the power just a little bit. But more than that, I just have to question, when are you ever going to get to 5 stacks of courage?
It's not going to be, I mean, okay, so ideally, if you're building a fire station team, you're building for defense and you're going to last. So it's all about stacking up the courages and, playing the long game.
Right.
Which is kind of tough to do in arena with the 5-minute time limit, but it's not impossible. I just feel like you took the revive chance away, which is like, why? You could have even left it at a 30% chance. What they should have done is up the percentage of the heal and made the stacks of courage increase the percentage of the revive chance. That would have made this a much better ability.
Ooh, I didn't think about that. I think that's a really solid way they could have done. Heals all heroes for whatever percentage you want to put in here of Poppy's max health, and has a 30% chance to reassemble a random defeated hero plus 10% bonus chance per stack of courage on Poppy.
Yeah, and what's the cool? This is a 3-turn cooldown, right?
I think so. I think the only real saving grace of it is that Poppy has more ways to heal more often than other characters do. So I think that that's the only real trade-off with her, and why maybe it makes sense that her heals are relatively weak compared to other dedicated healers.
I guess. There is a plus side with this. You could use this and then go switch right back to patch up and reduce the cooldown to only a 2-turn cooldown.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be afraid of using this. But the fact that you need 5 stacks of courage to clear debuffs, really should have been. Maybe you could even have done clear a debuff for each stack of courage.
Right.
That would have made it more usable.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, the only thing to consider here is the way that this stacks with her new passive preventative care. So if you want to get into that one for a second, how it's been changed into Poppy's max health is increased by 5% for each stack of courage on her, and then combine that with painkillers, which has a plus 5% bonus heal for each stack of courage on Poppy, and heals for a percentage of Poppy's max health. You'll notice that the two will then be working together. So
they do work in tandem.
Exactly. She'll get a stack of courage, which gives her more max health and gives her a higher bonus heal. So what I'll be really interested to see is if, and that's a big if, you can get her courage up to 5 total stacks, what size heal will she be able to put out at that point? At the end of preventative care, the last part is that anytime Poppy gains a stack of courage, she heals the hero with the lowest health for 10% of her max health. And then if that hero is city, they also gain defense. So
yeah, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why you might think to yourself, well, what if I remove characters that cannot increase the rate of courage generation in favor of those that can? So if you take out construction worker Sal, then it leaves you more vulnerable to attack, and it's going to weaken firefighter Ash. But if you were to replace Sal with Miner Clay or Iggy or somebody else who could put extra grit on your team, specifically extra grit on Poppy, then it might make it easier for her to generate courage, increase her healing abilities, and guaranteeing that she's just constantly throwing out 10% heals all the time.
Yeah. The thing with Poppy is she's just going to be putting patch up on herself all the time because she needs to keep refreshing her cooldowns and gaining courage. She's going to be doing a lot of healing.
Oh, yeah.
And it could be a high percentage of healing depending on how high her health gets with those courage stacks. So
the other thing to consider there is with patch up, if the hero is a role model, so that means Primo, Ash, Poppy, and Winston right now, right? Will role model actually refresh the ability cooldowns of the ultimate abilities too? So what happens if you put it on Primo? Can he get to his ultimate twice in one battle rather than once, like pretty much every other person who has an ultimate ability?
Definitely will refresh. Oh, it refreshes the cooldown for one. So yeah, it should do that.
Yeah, so I think that we're really going to have to see if your firefighter Ash, for example, gets to those 5 stacks and you hit that fire hydrant button, and then for whatever reason you've got Sal on your team and he gets hit a whole bunch, and by the time it gets to be firefighter Ash's next turn, she's already got 5 stacks again, which I have actually seen happen. Then maybe in between you put that patch up on firefighter Ash so that she gets closer to being able to hit you with that fire hydrant like twice in a row.
Yeah. I mean, you feel like you need to have Poppy. Like, she does a lot of things that are going to help them out.
Absolutely.
Just like, the problem is I needed her to kind of be able to revive so that I didn't have to run Aurora too.
I agree with you 100% there. And there is a little bit of a silver lining here on this if you are dark on the city team right now, which is that the city team is scheduled for a rework according to a box, but not until
Confirmed
next
that
year.
today.
Yeah.
We got that confirmation today, actually. Yeah, I'm curious because I mean she's going to be getting 25% more health, and like I said before, painkillers will work in tandem with patch up. There's going to be a little, inner kit synergy there. So I'm just like I said, I'm having a hard time. What team do I build around her? Because when you're talking about, if you're going straight city, and I think you're better off going with the ice glider than the fire station. I think fire station is great for the role model tag, but if I'm going just straight city, especially if I was going Poppy and Aurora together, I think you might be better with the ice glider. But when I'm talking about fire station, which is what you and I both kind of want to play, you have so many options, and I'm having a real hard time putting my top 5 together for that. Obviously, you need Ash, you need Aurora, you need Primo. Then you have a lot of options like Sal, Winston, Poppy, Princess Storm, King Brutus. Like those are all really good options. Then you have Demolition Dummy, Hiker. So I've already listed 10 figures that you could possibly use with that set. I'm having a real hard time putting my 5 together, and I don't really know if going just a straight city tag is the best way to do that.
Yeah, I've been experimenting a little bit as we come out with this, and unfortunately, the bugs that Primo currently has have made it very difficult to do effective testing. So I'm going to have to revisit the entire thing after the space update comes out and they have fixed him. But in the meantime, I've started experimenting with a few things here. So Firefighter Ash gains stacks of courage whenever a tank gets hit. And if it is a city tank, then she has an increased chance of gaining stacks of courage. What that means is if you really want to focus on generating courage on Ash, you've got to have a tank on your team. Pretty much everybody's going to have a tank on their team anyway, but the one that has the biggest synergy is going to be Sal. Now, obviously, you'll have Winston if you want to add some role model synergy. He does not have the city tag, which means that Ash will be getting courage at a lower rate, but maybe it's still enough if you add in the amount of courage that you can theoretically get from Fire Station. But then, if you're trying to get courage from the Fire Station, it means that you are counting on resisting debuffs, which means you have to have more grit on your team. And right now, the only real ways to do that effectively, at least with a city team, are with Iggy or I'm blanking on his name.
Minor Clay.
Yeah, Minor Clay. So right now,
or Poppy. Poppy now.
Right. Poppy can do that now. Minor Clay actually has the passive that gives everyone on your team additional grit. Iggy has the ability that gives everyone on your team the actual grit buff. So then I've started thinking, well, if you can get everybody's grit up high enough, can you remove the tank tag and still allow Ash to generate enough courage, even though it'll be slower? So I actually today started experimenting with a team that was Poppy, Primo, Ash, Minor Clay, and Explorer Aurora. The crazy thing about that is not having Sal on your team, because I'm just trying to figure out how to generate stacks of courage on this city team, since that's what it requires.
Yeah. How'd that work out?
It's difficult to say, because yet another problem that we have with testing is the limited ability to test. So if you're in, say, free training, doing the free testing there, anything. Yeah, I mean, the free training team is a terrible example of the teams that you're going to be facing. So in Brixpedition today, Brixpedition was board 1 today, so all the teams are relatively easy. So it gives you a kind of a false sense that everybody is more powerful than they actually might be. Mm-hmm. So at the time, for right now, what it looks like to me is, given the change and given the stacks of courage, if you're looking at using the Fire Station, you're going to be using Poppy, Primo, and Ash in some combination, those three. And it's actually 2 full spots, in my opinion, that you're looking to fill in. Now, the Fire Station's ultimate ability relies on your characters dying, which is going to be problematic because when your characters die, they're dead. So you're gonna want to have.
That's why you have Aurora.
Exactly. And so then the question is, when Explore Aurora brings somebody back to life, does the buff that their death had placed on another character still stick, or does it get removed when they come back to life?
No, I'm pretty sure it sticks. I don't see why it wouldn't.
That is the way that it is worded, but I don't know if we've done enough testing to actually know for sure if that's right. You know what I mean?
I think we'd have to just ask the devs.
That's very, very true. And to be honest with you, they probably give us a pretty fast answer on that one.
Yeah, if they even know. If they even care enough to know.
Right. So now you've got Poppy, Primo, Firefighter Ash, and Explorer Aurora on your team. That's 4. And now you're looking for a 5th. So you're either adding Sal or Winston or somebody else with the tank tag on your team, specifically because you want Firefighter Ash to be getting stacks of courage at a faster rate. Or you're adding somebody who has the potential to provide grit to your entire team into that 5th slot in order to make sure that everyone is getting courage at a higher rate. I'm not sure that we know what the right answer is yet, but I'll bet somewhere out there is a meta-able team.
Yeah. It seems a little tougher for Arena. Like for me, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, if I could just have 6 units, this team would be really, really solid. I can make a great 6-unit team. Oh, so yeah. maybe this is like the team you need to run Brickspedition with at some point. Like,
yeah, I think that it could. I think that there is a real chance that in the future we will see a bigger split between PvP and PvE content and which characters, which teams work the best there. Right now for PvE, the only real content we have is the Brickspedition, and it's just your ability to get through it. And you can basically do all of that with a full pirate team, which you need anyway because they're the best way to get money, and they're really great in the arena currently.
All right, well, that's all we got for you today, Knuckleheads. Big thanks to the Fancy Life for coming on the channel and doing this video for you. Please remember to go over to his channel, drop a subscribe for him, smash that like button on this video, hit that subscribe button, ding that little bell for some notifications, and as always, remember to knuckle up.
She blocked me on Instagram, Snapchat, I don't give a damn about that. I can see your face, still feel the same. I don't feel the need to forget your name.